Welcome, my name is Ferdi, and in this video I want to give you a quick overview of the contents of the course that we're providing on the virtual hacking labs. The first chapter is covering some penetration testing basics. We'll be looking at the penetration testing process in general and the jobs and professional opportunities that may arise for skilled penetration testers. In chapter 2 we'll be learning how to access the labs. The virtual hacking labs contain over 30 vulnerable hosts for you to practice on. We'll start with a small intro followed by how to install Kali Linux. The virtual hacking lab provides pre-installed virtual machines for every student. This means that we already installed all the software that you need. We installed the VPN client to access the virtual hacking labs, and it's generally recommended to use the virtual machine. It saves you a lot of time. You just need to download it, open the virtual machine, run it, and you can access the virtual hacking labs. So there's no installation required except the virtual machine itself and the virtual machine player software. VMware provides free software to run this VM. We'll be covering everything in this chapter, installing Kali Linux and VPN access. The VPN access chapter shows you how to access the lab network. We also have a video on how to access a lab network from multiple virtual machines. The reset panel is a web page that can be accessed on the virtual hacking labs VPN network, and it is used to reset host back to the default state. So when a host is left in an unexploitable condition, you can go to the reset panel and reset it. It will be reset back to its default state. Because the virtual hacking labs is a shared environment, we have to apply some rules and restrictions. A shared environment means that you're not the only student that logs into the network. There can be multiple students, and therefore we need to apply these rules and restrictions. We also offer a certificate of completion to anyone that completed at least 20 machines on the lab network. When you provide documentation about how you routed these 20 machines, then we can verify this information and we'll supply a certificate of completion. In the next chapter we'll be looking at a very important aspect of penetration testing. This is called information gathering. After a short info we'll be looking at passive information gathering techniques and active information gathering techniques. So we'll be learning how to scan ports, how to access the different protocols and how to scan those protocols, and this is all covered in the chapter 3 information gathering. In chapter 4 we'll be learning how to assess and identify vulnerabilities, and we'll be learning this alongside the Metasploitable 2 machine. So we'll be enumerating this Metasploitable 2 machine and identify the vulnerabilities. The lab also contains a pre-installed Metasploitable 2 machine, so you don't need to install this locally. So if any students would like to follow along with the courseware and practice on this machine before attacking the other vulnerable hosts on the lab networks, you're free to do so. This chapter covers the locations where to find vulnerabilities and exploits, such as ExploitDB is very known location to find known vulnerabilities and exploit code. We'll be using Nmap scripts to identify vulnerabilities, and finally we'll conclude with OpenVAS. OpenVAS is an automated vulnerability scanner, and in this chapter we'll be learning how to install this vulnerability scanner and how to operate with it. In chapter 5 we'll be learning about exploitation. After a short intro we'll cover where to find exploits and how to work with them, how to modify them, what you need to modify in exploits in order to have them successfully execute against a specific target. We'll learn how to compile exploits on Linux and for Linux. Then we'll be learning how to cross-compile Windows exploits on the Linux platform, and eventually how to transfer the exploits to a remote target. In the last chapter we'll be exploiting some vulnerabilities in practice and see how it's done. In chapter 6 we'll learn about privilege escalation. We'll start with covering some Linux privilege escalation techniques, and we'll continue with Windows privilege escalation techniques. In chapter 7 we'll be learning how to attack web applications. Web applications are a very important aspect of the courseware, as you'll find in the labs a lot of web applications. We'll learn how to include local and remote files. We'll learn how to work with remote code execution vulnerabilities, how to exploit them. The same applies to remote command execution. We'll be covering the basics of SQL injection. And in the last chapter we'll be learning how to work with web shells. Password attacks are covered in chapter 8 of the courseware. We learn how to generate password lists, we learn how to work with password hashes and how to crack them with John. And in the last chapter we'll be learning how to attack web application passwords. In chapter 9 we'll learn about Netcat, how to work with bind shells in Netcat, with reverse shells in Netcat, how to set up these shells and how to upgrade them to meter-breather shells. And in chapter 10 of the courseware we'll be learning how to work with Metasploit. After some basic commands we'll cover the exploit commands, and these generally apply to all exploits offered by the Metasploit framework. I hope this video gave you a better understanding of the courseware we're providing. If you have any questions about this courseware, about the labs or anything else, please don't hesitate to contact us using the contact form, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.